So, here we are. My name is Laurin, or mostly said Lauren, and right now here is Darian around.
Hello.
Yeah, maybe someone else will join later on. And I said I would talk about my draft and about my first week opponent, which I already defeated, and why I decided to bring some mods. I don't have the team anymore because I usually delete teams after I did the battle, so I don't get confused. But the major decisions, I still know them. So, yeah.
Let's
What I.
actually talk about your draft spot. To start off with.
Yeah, I think I was number 7 or number
No,
9.
you were
Number
you were you
9.
were nine. You were
Yeah,
nine.
so I. I was pretty happy with that one because if you pick a rather centric, there's no long period where you don't get your Pokemon. And also, there were not many people around me where I was afraid they would snipe a Pokemon away from me. So let's say if Phil would have been gone prior to me and then Pat
Dude,
right after me, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have gotten this draft. So I'm fairly happy with my spot to draft. Also, you just basically said a part of a sentence that stopped and said the rest. Made no sense.
oh, ew. Of
Yeah.
all the times for my Discord to be cutting out.
Yeah, it's it was really awkward. So yeah, but I was pretty happy with my spot because while I don't get the classic 1-2 punch where you draft two Pokemon in a row, being in the middle gives you great options, I think. So I didn't mind
Uh,
that one.
well, that's an opinion, and
Yeah,
you are entitled to your opinion, of course.
yeah, yeah. Like last season, I went pretty decent at the end to even get to that point. Otherwise, it would have been a whole other draft order. Because I did super terrible at the start. So yeah, let's see. So you can see here in the draft orders that I am GR. I am number 9, and then we do the snake. So I'm back here at 24.
Oh, I assume you have the document opened right now, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah. And I'm showing that I was 9 then 24 and yeah. So you see the draft order actually here too. So the
Yeah,
first Pokemon that I
this is
draft, the first Pokemon that I was drafting was Blacephalon.
So
And
now, why did you take Blacephalon at this spot?
so
You had a Pokemon that came
yeah,
before you.
yeah. So I will open Showdown for that one. Yeah, people will see all this, so this is perfect. So we see Blacephalon has 151 special attack and 127 attack. And if you look at its move pool, it has great options to run physical and special. It's used special mainly because the special attack is so much greater, but the physical variety of Blacephalon is less expected, but still is a threat. You can't just ignore it. Like, I've run on ladder Flame Charge, Knockoff, Shadow Claw, and I think it was Explosion version, and it did pretty good. It's not weak. Its attack is still dangerous. And obviously, the special attack is so insanely high that even a Pokemon that can switch into it still gets a lot of damage. And the true counter to Blacephalon is T-Tar, and only two teams can have T-Tar, so I wasn't afraid of having too many opponents to run into that can really deal with Blacephalon easily. Also, just
Oh,
because
oh,
it's so fast.
oh, you're right. I was like, well, I mean, for a second, I thought standard OU, but then I remember this was a draft. Yeah, Tyranitar and Mega Tyranitar can only be on two teams, so essentially, you can hit everyone else pretty hard, assuming they don't have a berry for you, or if they have the right soft checks to you.
Yeah, so that's what I think about Blacephalon in draft leagues. It I think it could possibly be the next Tapu Lele for draft leagues where it gets banned because it's a little on the strong side. Because while it doesn't have the great options that Mew has, it has a physical and a special the attacking set. It has a lot of speed, so you can run it Scarf and outspeed most of the other Scarf Pokemon. You can run it Band on the physical set. Obviously, then you have no good Fire Stab, sadly. That's the one thing that sets it a little behind, is that it has no good physical fire attack.
Well, I think another thing that holds it back is it's a fire type, and we all know that Stealth Rock is a thing in this day and age. So
So here we come to my second pick. So, what are Blacephalon's weaknesses? Alright, you don't want to switch into rocks, so you
right,
need a defog or rapid spin. You get destroyed by earthquakes, so basically the best option would be something that doesn't die to an earthquake. Also, it would be nice to have something that can deal with water type Pokemon, because while you do a lot of damage with your Shadow Ball, you don't want to stay in a water type Pokemon. And now there's a Pokemon that does all that, called Zapdos, and I got it on my second pick.
and picked out 24 in the draft.
Yeah, so with Zapdos, that really opened up my draft, because the core of Blacephalon Zapdos is very solid. You have a defog, you have amazing bulk with Zapdos, you have the switch into Earthquakes for Blacephalon, then with Blacephalon you have an amazing wall breaker and a really good cleanup sweeper. And so they synergize really, really well, and people know that. They are picked, or they are played in OU ladder already together.
Not bad.
And drafting it was the dream, basically.
Uh, you'd be lucky no one sniped you. I mean, unfortunately, a friend of ours was sniped twice.
Yeah.
So
I got sniped later down the road, but we will get to that. I got sniped
right.
like 4 times later down the road, and I was pretty annoyed by that, but again, I picked at like 3 a.m. and did my Z captains at 3 a.m., so I didn't even think about some stuff at all.
That's okay though.
Yeah, time zones.
Time zones, hate them.
Yeah, they are really annoying.
So we now go into the third round. You have Blacephalon and Zapdos. So why did
Yes.
you take Mean Shell, and what does it do to help Blacephalon and Zapdos?
So, last season I had Mienshao too, and I went also with the Z Captain Mienshao, if you remember.
I
And,
believe so. Yes.
and it is a monster that people are not expecting. Because also I can open up Shodan for that one again, because Zapdos is the straightforward Pokemon, to be fair. Also you have a little recoil, so if I say something I heard again, just wanted to let you know.
I don't know what you meant by that time, but
Alright, so if I talk, I hear my voice from your computer.
you mean echoes?
Yeah, thanks. I'm not used to talking English at a consistent basis yet. I should
Oh
really
no,
get
don't
into
worry.
that.
I just needed to know. I just didn't understand at first, but now I know.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can adjust my settings a bit. So Mean Shao is a monster.
Yeah. Alright, now it's even worse.
Really?
Yes.
I turned my stuff down.
Yeah, but that's actually just what you don't want. So you want to raise the needed audio to activate your microphone and not lower it, because what happens is your headphones they are so loud that your microphone picks the sound from the headphones and be like, oh yeah, that's something that is said right now, so I have to transmit that. And when you send that up higher, the microphone will be like, oh yeah, so nah, that's not something I should hear. So what you do is you go to your
Weird.
sound, and just while on the voice activation, here Sprachaktivierung, you see it in the video, guys. You can make it automatically, or what I do a lot of times is just pushing it up or down on the minus decibel part until I think it should be fine. Yeah.
God, I hate
Alright.
myself.
Now, Mean Chow. Yeah, I will try to ignore it a little. It's not like a major deal, I think. The video is also
I
just for the people of the group, and I hope they are fine with that.
Remind me to give you our advertising policy.
You what?
Remind me to make you aware of our advertising policy.
Well, sure. I didn't even know there's something like that because I'm a lazy guy. Now, so yeah, Mean Shao. If you see the move pool of Mean Shao, it's actually a wonder that it's only a tier 3 and not a tier 2. Because it can run like acrobatics and then an item that it can use or can get wasted. Then you have against screen setters, you can run a brick break. On like defensive whittle down teams, you can run the drain punch. Everyone knows the high jump kick hurts like a truck. The knockoff is a really useful move. I think knockoff is maybe even the single best move in draft leagues. Just because knockoff gives you so much pressure on every Pokemon. Unless they are Megas or Z Captains. And even then, not every Mega or Z Captain gets hit by a knockoff. Because items play a major role in draft leagues. For example, Choice Scarf, in my opinion, is the most useful item. Just because you can stop sweepers from actually tearing your team apart. Which we will get later to Phil in my battle, our first week battle, where we can also watch the replay of that.
Excuse me, I am a little sick, so apologies for the coughing.
Yeah, get well, Aaron, get well. Alright, so yeah.
So my question to you is: would you still have expended the points to Mean Shao if it was tier 2?
I think I would have picked Mega Lopunny over it, and Bishop and Gengar over it then. But for a tier 3, as a Z Captain, I think it's pretty powerful. So it's not like a game breaker. It's not like Blacephalon can actually just win single-handedly. But it deals a lot of damage. And it can change a fight. Yeah, like the Poison Jab. I have run the Poison Jab with the Poisonium Z a lot of times last season. Which got me a lot of kills, actually, because people are not expecting the damage. Yeah, Rock Slide or Stone Edge are again great coverage, covering the Pokemon that you don't want it with a high jump kick. And then the U-turn and Fake Out, which was pretty common all around my Mean Shao play. I like the way Mean Shao plays, like going in, chipping people down, and when it says a matchup where it shouldn't stay in, you just U-turn out, and then you can play Reckless or Regenerator, depending on how much damage you really need. And so I think Mean Shao is like this Pokemon that holds the team together and allows Blacephalon to clean up later down the game. So it can do the chip damage, it can kill Pokemon by itself with its Z move or with its very powerful high jump kick. It can break walls pretty efficiently also because no one wants to get the reckless all-out pummeling from Mean Shao based on the power of a high jump kick. There
I
are
believe we have another guest.
what?
I believe we have another guest.
Oh, yeah. Let me like. Oh, hi. Yeah, I have turned off the sounds to hear if someone joins.
Oh, this would be our pal Joshua.
Yeah. How you doing?
He might be having connection issues.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But yeah, so Mean Shao hits like a truck, and just the move pool in itself allows a lot of Z moves to be used because I can run a Darknium Z for knockoff, the Poisonium Z Poison Jab, the Fightnium Z High Jump Kick, the Rocknium Z Stone Edge, the Bugnium Z U-Turn if I really want to, and the Flynium Z Aerial Ace, which I did do last season once against the Mega-Medicham, which really turned the game there, where I nearly won against Ryan, even though he was a huge favorite, and I brought him down to 1-1, and it was, I think, a missed high jump kick from my end, which led him to win. Let him get out victorious. But it was a good match, not gonna lie. And Mean Shao really played a major role there, and I just like the way Mean Shao can be played. So on my Mega, we all know I'm the Medichams. We all know I love fighting types. Medicham hits like a truck. But I didn't even went for Medicham from the get-go. My problem with Mega Medicham on my team is it's too slow. My team, the way as I drafted this, was already set to be the fastest team. I want to win the speed game. And the moment you don't win the speed game with my team, you made a mistake because all of my Pokemon are very, very fast. And I have only a few exceptions to that to get my defense going. So Zapdos, Steelix, Gligar, Blastoise and Ariados are not fast in its own right, but for walls they are. Like Zapdos is a pretty fast wall. And Blastoise obviously.
I think Joshua had connection issues. Oh,
yeah,
well.
maybe he will come to us later. So yeah, so that's why I wanted a fast Mega. A faster Mega than Mega Medicham. Even though I love Mega Medicham, don't get me wrong, I think it's a great Pokemon. I prefer myself having something faster, like Alakazam. And then Alakazam was drafted, and I was like, okay, I will take Mega Lopunny, that's fine by me.
Yeah,
Because
Mega Medicham went in the second round, and Mega Alakazam went in the third round.
yeah, and Mega Lopunny, again, it's a fast mon, it can't be blocked by ghost Pokemon, it again has a lot of damage output, and which I did in the first week, and which we will come to back later, Adamant Lopunny. People don't expect that, because you usually don't see it. On ladder, that would be something out of your mind to run Adamant Lopunny. But when you see that it outspeeds all the Pokemon on the opponent team, why shouldn't you run Adamant? Because the only way he outspeeds is a Scarf, and Scarf was most likely outspeed you already anyways.
So far, your team looks like Blacephalon, Zapdos, Mean Shao, and Mega Lopunny.
Yes, and
So now, what complements them?
now here's what I what you have to keep in mind, I always was talking to my best friend, a really good Pokemon player. I learned competitive Pokemon from him. And we saw a pretty big problem on the killing fairies the part. We have two fighting type Pokemons. We have Blacephalon, which can't kill all the fairies pretty easily. And I wanted a steel type from the get-go. You know, steel types do pretty well usually. And I was 100% sure Bishop gets taken away from me. Because if you look at my team, Bishop really assists the way I play Blacephalon, Zapdos, Meanshow, Mega Lopunny. It again does amazing damage. It has the Sucker Punch to get away enemy choice Pokemon. Because when your opponent is choiced, and let's say he doesn't want to switch out anymore because he would sacrifice another Pokemon to the knockoff, Sucker Punch, it dies and you have the free kills there. Also, it can come in on any defog Pokemon and on any sticky web, which is a major up, because that actually hurts. A free Sword Dance on Bishop hurts a lot.
Oh, that's right. It gets Defiant.
Yes. So, you kind of block the defog Pokemons on that end, you know, because if the opponent defogs into your Bishop, it goes wild. So yeah.
I would love that attack boost.
Yeah, you would love to take it to the face, I guess. It really sounds very comfortable. Nah, actually, it's actually dangerous. It hurts a lot. And
Don't.
so I was like, okay, I have one of the best defog blockers in the game. But what if I want to block Rapid Spin? And again, I want to kill fairies with a faster Pokemon because Bishop is pretty slow. And then Gengar was up, and I was like, oh yeah, fine, I will go with the best Rapid Spin blocker in the game. No problem with me on that end. And again, Bishop being the physical Pokemon, and Gengar being the special Pokemon of that tier. So that's something I always try to keep in mind, is that I have a good special and physical split. The only exception is like tier 1, where Zapdos and Blacephalon are both special, because I was in mind to pick Mega Lopunny pretty early on, which would be physical, or Mega Beedrill, which would be physical, so my Mega is like my third tier 1 Pokemon. And then it kind of fits as Zapdos in the wall, Blacephalon special, and Lopunny are physical.
Right.
Yeah, that went pretty well. So
Oh, definitely.
at that point, I was thinking about entry hazards a lot. And here comes the great compilation of getting sniped. So Espeon was a tier 3 pick, I think, right? Let me see where it is. Yeah. So I wanted to pick Crocodile to get the Stealth Rock setter. Was sniped.
But unfortunately, our coach Peter sniped Crocodile from you.
Yeah. So I was like, alright, so I could use another Stealth Rock setter. What are good Stealth Rock setters that are still up? Or Stealth Rock or Spike setters. And then I was thinking about Klefki. Problem with Klefki, it doesn't even come close to fitting my team. It gives away the entire pressure I was building up. So I was thinking about Fortress. Fortress with the Volt Switch can keep up pressure, and it sniped. So then I was kinda salty about that, and was like, alright, you know, screw all them. I will use their own entry hazards, and picked Espeon. Because every single team wants entry hazards at one point or another, and Espeon just sits there and be like, yo, what's up? And it fits again the style of my team with being fast and having options. Because you can run it as a Scarf Espeon. I've done that on a ladder multiple times. You can run the Specs Espeon to absolutely tear a hole in some Pokemon. Then you can set up the Reflect Espeon and the Light Screen, so that you have just setup possibilities.
I'd like to go back to that Wahlberger point you made. In this case, you have actually made it your captain, your Z captains along with Minshao. So
Yeah, let's just say I had a counting error at 3 a.m. Because I was on the impression that if I run Minshao and Gengar as the captains, that would work perfectly fine. And so I said Minshao and Gengar. And then I was getting told that that's 10 Z points too many right there.
well, it was Gengar would have cost you 60.
Yeah, it was 3 a.m. so I didn't get that in my brain at that point. I was like, oh yeah, just take the other tier 3. I will worry about it at a later date. And now I've Espeon a Z captain, I guess. I'm thinking about getting away the Z points from there and maybe trade with someone who has not used all Z points and make like an unfavorable trade for my team for the 10 Z points. Maybe because you can trade Z points and it's not specifically stated that you are only allowed to use Z points for trades for a Z captain Pokemon. So in general that would work.
I guess.
So so I was thinking about that. I will look into it a little more after like second or third week when people really start to swap around with their rosters.
Right.
And yeah, but people, if you feel like there's a Pokemon you really want from my team, and you can give me a good offer with the Z points on top of that, sure as hell. Now you don't have to get the best offer. Like if I get the 10 Z points, you can go obviously a little down on the value of the Pokemon for each team. Obviously the tier still has to be the same because it's a rule. But for example, Minshao is a way better Pokemon for my team than Blissey would be. Just for an example. Alright. Coming to my pick with Blastoise.
This is the 8th pick.
Yes. And
Ooh.
it was a long thought about one. Because we are now getting to tier 4. I have to see where I have it. Tier lists. Tier 4. Yeah, I'm always like, oh yeah, let me go on Facebook because there's where I have the tier lists, obviously. I can't. I'm always like that. So on tier 4 we have. I was thinking about Aggron again for Stealth Rocks. But again, Aggron has exploitable 4-time weaknesses and it really doesn't fit again the playstyle of my team. Then I skirted it around and was like, wait, do I have a water type Pokemon? And I figured out, no, I don't. And what I did is just.
And you decided now is the time to get one.
Now is the time to get one because Blastoise is. Physical defensive Blastoise still tanks a lot. It can run Rapid Spin, so if I can't run Zapdos for any reason, then I have Blastoise cleaning up the Stealth Rocks for Blacephalon. So I have the options there on Defog and Rapid Spin in my team, which also again is really favorable for me at that point because I have now 3 ways to get rid of or to annoy people with Stealth Rocks. I can switch into Espeon so they can never freely use Stealth Rocks. I have a Defog Pokemon and I have Rapid Spin. So that's pretty good there, I think.
Mm. Well, yes,
Also,
Blastoise does give you a rapid spitter,
yeah,
and covers your it covers the fact that you no longer have only defaulters.
yes. And something that people often forget about Blastoise is, even without any investment, it does a little damage. And so what I did against Excadrill here, now first week, I didn't come to get the cheese done, but Blastoise has a 3-move combination that destroys a lot of sweepers that it hits super effective while it's not even coming close to dying. Because Blastoise learns Fake Out for whatever reason, so you can time stall with it if you really want to get rid of the weather. Then you obviously have the Scald, which also can burn to ruin physical sweepers. And then it learns Aqua Jet to finish off low-life Pokemon. And my plan against Excadrill was, okay, I Scald, I Aqua Jet, and it's a 100% safe kill. Obviously he didn't stay in, but that's for a later date when we watched the replay and why I decided to bring this team.
Seems legit.
Yeah, so Blastoise actually can annoy fire and ground Pokemon, for example, with its hilarious combination of 3 moves that deal a lot of damage. Or Fake Out doesn't deal a lot of damage, but it's annoying. I think Fake Out, the designer of Fake Out was like, oh yeah, let me get the most annoying thing possible, and then we make a move. So, here is the pick that I switched away. I had Noivern. And it basically was like, oh yeah, 3 AM, I have no time to think about my Pokemon because I didn't really prepared well for Tier 4 because I wasn't sure what would stay there and what would get taken away.
Right.
And so I was looking like what could fit my team. I was like, you know, I don't worry about my team for now. I don't have a Draco Meteor spam Pokemon. It's always fun to spam the Draco. It has Boom Burst. Let's just pick Noivern. And now, after the first week, I was like, wait, why do I even have Noivern? It deals no damage. And there are 2 Pokemon that can run Stealth Rocks in that tier, being Aggron and Gligar. And I went with Gligar because it fits my team better, because I was talking about with, I think it was Franklin about it a little. Was it Franklin? I can't remember names, I'm very sorry guys.
I personally don't
Carlos,
remember.
it was Carlos. So yeah, here you also see I'm always building with Pat. So I sent him the teams and he should build with that team against my team, just because I think Pat is a really, really good and creative player. He always comes up with interesting ways to deal with teams.
Well, do remember, Gligar was a free agency pickup for.
Yes, Gligar is... But Gligar is a major pickup because I have a good Stealth Rock setter and another wall on my team that can really switch into stuff and doesn't have to worry about it, and it learns Defog again. So if I don't want to run Zapdos for any reason and prefer Gligar, I now can do that. Yeah, that's...
gives you a little bit more options.
But mainly it was for the Stealth Rocks and for the Toxic Immunity, so if someone brings like a Stallish type team, I can just be like, yeah, here, have Gligar. Go figure. Yeah, and now we come to Tier 5, and we all knew Tier 5 would be a tier where, like, we mainly don't see strong Pokemon in there. And since my team was at that point pretty much set in stone on how I play it, Ariados fits it fine. It has Toxic Spikes and Sticky Webs to assist the team with entry hazards. and it yeah it just does the one job it does pretty decent with the focus sash, because you can lay down the sticky webs, then the opponent does like, oh yeah, let me get one move on it, I nearly kill it, and then it survives, and you can sucker punch if the opponent is fast and do a little chip damage and break sashes. Or you can go with the toxic spikes to get one layer of toxic done. And that's pretty fine. Yeah, and then I went with the last entry hazard setter on my team being Steelix, because I had no stealth rocks at that point, and Steelix is setting stealth rocks, and unexpectedly Steelix can switch into every single physical move in the game without worrying about dying at any point.
That is
So,
unless you get hit with the Z crystal.
yeah, but even I was calking it, because my next week opponent has Halucha, and I was thinking about running a full physical defensive one with which would take a +2 high jump kick from Halucha and survive that one. Which is respectable because Halucha deals a lot of damage. We all know that.
Right.
So yeah, that are the thoughts I had with that.
Well, I'm glad I was able to share my thoughts with you too.
Yeah.
And I
No,
think you have a very solid team, and I think you are going to be a threat this to the championship.
I think my team is pretty solid. It looks strong. Now we can see it's in full action on the first week. Let's see, where do we have it? The uploads, there it is. Because obviously we had our matches already, or some, like the first week. And I was against Phil. And
Our boy Phil.
yeah. And let's see, my team was Espeon, because I just like the way you can play Espeon, and I didn't really have any other option, and it deals with Virizion itself pretty fine. It can lay down the shields again, and so it's just a support Pokemon. Blacephalon, because here's the problem with Phil's team, why it's not as strong as it could be. It's slow compared to my team. It's very, very slow. And Blacephalon, Choice Scarfed, tears a hole in there because he has no good defensive mons against it. So, Blacephalon Choice Scarfed obviously was a pretty easy pick there for me. We see the Blastoise first week appearance immediately. As I said, it can kill Excadrill on its own and survive 2 earthquakes, which is really helpful. Because that way I can just ignore the threat of the Sandrush Excadrill. Noivern, as I said, was more of a meme pick, but a Choice Scarf Noivern outspeeds a Sandrush Excadrill. If it has, I think, Adamant Nature, which is the more common way to play it, because you mostly outspeed everything anyways. And it has Flamethrowers, so it brings it down to like 10% HP, which is pretty good for a tier 4 pick to destroy Excadrill on that end. Bishop, again, the Sucker Punch hurts a lot, the knockoff is useful. He can't play the sticky webs because it's a 3 sword dance for my for my bishop, and that hurts a lot. And we get to the MVP of this match, Adamant Lopunny. So did you expect an Adamant Lopunny when you first saw the replay? Alright, Darren doesn't answer anymore.
Oh, I'm still here.
Yeah. So did you expect an Adamant Lopunny to be brought there?
Well, I had just finished the battle. It juggled my memory to remind me that there are only 16 turns worth.
Yeah.
I had suddenly remind myself the battle was finished very quickly.
Yeah, so Adam and Lopunny, because it's faster than everything he can bring that's not Scarfed, and Scarf he outspeeds anyways. And now we will watch the battle turn out and why Lopunny's MVP first week. Like, it
Oh
actually
yeah.
did a lot.
Well, if you follow me over to the statistics tab, you will see that
Oh no, we're
your
watching the match for now. I didn't
oh
do that.
right.
I just talked about the team. So here, that's annoying. I was worrying about Gigalith being full physical defensive. And I knew that if my fake out deals 5%, the high jump kick is a kill. Because then he isn't full physical defensive. And then I crit, and it was 11%. So I wasn't sure what I should think about it, because it's roughly 5% if with a normal fake out. And it was a crit. Yeah, it really threw me off there. So then I forgot Gigalith can obviously learn Protect, so I high jump kick into it and nearly die. I should have went with a power punch there, I know. But I don't worry about it. High jump kick, it kills. Phil is salty in chat, as we can see here now.
What turn are you looking at?
We are turn 5 now, where turn 4. So I sacrificed Espeon. And people that watched the replay asked me why I didn't went into Blastoise immediately. If Excadrill uses 2 Earthquakes in row, there is a possibility for Blastoise to die. And I needed Blastoise to deal with Excadrill later. And I didn't want to stay in Lopunny because Sandstorm is still active and it outspeeds, and Mega Lopunny was nearly dead, so it would have died. So now I went into Blastoise, obviously Scald, Virizion comes in, Sandstorm is over, and now I'm already won. Noivern really pressuring out Virizion, Excadrill gets another chip damage, Blastoise comes in freely now because Excadrill is so slow. Yeah, Gardevoir and Blastoise. I had to sacrifice Blastoise because I have no switching to Gardevoir there. But it took it down pretty well, so the fake out later on kills it. And here we see, this position, Phil is one Pokemon ahead, has still Excadrill, his Z-move Gyarados, Virizion, his Mega, and a Sneasel, a pretty fast mon. But I knew I won this game at that point. Because he has nothing to stop Blacephalon, and he has nothing to stop Mega Lopunny. And obviously I went with the Mega Lopunny way because of the fake out kill. Then he went Sneasel, Ice Shot didn't kill. I thought it would be a Life Orb Sneasel, where the Ice Shot never kills at that range. So that's why I stayed in. It was pretty close, 2%. Not even close. Yeah, Power Punch, it's dead, and after the Power Punch, Return kills, and Power Punch kills everything. Yeah, and there we see the end. Everything died. Lopunny is a god.
And you won 4-0 to go 1-0 in your first week of 3.
Yes, and it was a major dominant fashion from Lopunny, staying true to its mega name. Yeah, but Phil and I are on good terms, as we see here. We are not like, he isn't mad at me for giving him the first lose. Yeah, I will edit out some stuff where I swap around the tabs, because you would see my week 2 team otherwise, and while I don't think my opponent would abuse that, it's still annoying. So yeah, thanks Darren for joining me.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me.
And I hope you all enjoyed this quick look into my team, why I drafted what I drafted, my thoughts, and how I team build, basically. Maybe I give a little bit too much intel. Maybe now I'm super bad this split because people expect what I bring already. But we will see. Right. See ya, guys.